Welcome back to God Chosen Cosmic Melodies. We're back for another one. So we're going to dive right in and start talking about what I feel called to talk about. God is like, you need to come on. And I felt pulled. I felt called and I felt pulled to come on and talk about this. Okay, so we got a lot going on in the world. And mental health is huge. And it's a really important topic. And mental illness is a part of mental health. So bringing this to the forefront, bringing this to our attention is really important. This is what God has put in the front of my attention. So I went down the trail of thought, down the rabbit hole in these trails of thoughts after watching this video. And it really dawned on me like, oh my God, when you see this from a spiritual lens, you have to keep in mind what we're really dealing with, right? In the psychological war that we're facing with, in the spiritual war, there's a lot of bad things that have been done to humanity to cause an imbalance in so many levels, in so many ways, right? We know through our six senses, they've attacked our spiritual body, our energy body, our energy centers through all of our senses, through polluted water, polluted air, blah, 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 all those things, right? We know. And so they're not just conspiracy theories, we know that. And it's caused a lot of imbalances, okay, in our energy centers and in people's mental health, most importantly, because, mostly our whole life, majority of our whole life is in our head. If we didn't have a brain in this whole system, in our biological body and in our energy system, this wouldn't exist the way that it's existing. Our brain, there's parts of people's bodies that will stop functioning, but as long as their brain is still functioning, they can still be alive and experience life, right? So the brain, it's huge. It's a big thing to restore the balance in the brain hemispheres and the chemical imbalances. And the people might initially think like, oh, just give them medicine to restore the imbalance, but God put in my heart that it's more of awareness and restoring it in a natural way. So before I get to this part of restoring it in a natural way, I'm going to show you this video. It's called Weird Behaviors. So it's crazy because, when you're going through things in life and you ask God a question, you ask the universe a question, and things will pop up, you'll get the response. And this was a question a while back, and then I ran into this video, and then it answered questions, and then it unlocked all this other stuff. Specifically when I heard number 6. So I'm going to kind of fast forward to, it's describing the weird behaviors that people do when they have mental illness. And I realized I came across this in people, like the witches that were attacking me, spiritually attacking me. They have these symptoms. They did these behaviors actually. And I'm starting to think like, oh my God, people who do black magic or darker things, or have done drugs or those kind of things and do black magic, drugs, alcohol, and black magic. Oh my God, that's a recipe for mental illness. Like, why people do this? Oh my God, it's so crazy. But anyways, that's besides the point, but it is a part of the point. But so yeah, as we know, when you're in a lower frequency, you're more susceptible to like imbalances, right? We know that we're all susceptible to that, and it's really important for us to restore that time and time again anytime we do get imbalance, because this is the human experience. We're going to experience that more than once in our life, imbalance. But that's how we master balance more. Every time we get imbalance, we restore the balance faster each time. And so we become masters at it to the point where we're not thrown out of balance for any little thing that's happening in the outside world or in our personal lives. So this weird behaviors that are actually signs of mental illness had me thinking that most of the world is mentally ill. Actually, it had me realizing that, not just thinking that, but realizing like, oh my God, literally, even from when you're little, it starts to happen from when you're little because of the world that we're born into. That's why God is calling us to restore all these different layers so that the next generations that come in, they won't have to deal with as much imbalances, because the level of imbalances that we've gotten to is the reason why like the rapture times are unfolding in the current times that we're living in today. So it's like, it's very apparent that we need to confront the mental illness in humanity with like the way we would confront grief. You deal with it with compassion because you understand that most of people's mental illnesses were not their fault. It's because of the world that we're born into that we're meant to restore, throughout the generations. It's not supposed to get worse throughout the generations. It's literally supposed to be getting better. This is why God gifted us the next generations, the point of more generations to come. Like God gifted us that, like, okay, when people die, there's more people being born, right? To give us a chance to restore it, to fix ourselves, like, because we're the ones who caused the problem. Why did we do this to ourselves? Like, because of the imbalances. That's why. That's what God put in my heart. Like, and people need to just confront, like, if you're doing things out of alignment of integrity and in a lower vibration, you have some sort of mental illness that's causing you to do certain things that are low vibrational or selfish or those kind of things, you know, things that are not higher vibrational characteristics, higher vibrational ways of thinking, feeling, and being. Now, none of us will ever be perfect, but it's pretty straightforward. Like, if people are, you know, out of balance, we should just confront the problem time and time again. Like, you know, I mean, that's easier said than done, but like, because I just thought, like, imagine everybody in the White House or in politics are accusing each other of mental illness, which is the case. Like Elon Musk, he must have because he does drugs. He admittingly is on many drugs in every single day on a day-to-day basis. And like, they're supposedly prescribed drugs. But point being is that causes mental illness, that causes imbalance. Now, I just brought up Elon Musk out of nowhere, random example, but just, you know, in general, throughout humanity, people look normal. We all look regular and happy and nice on the surface, but we never know what kind of mental illnesses that people are facing. And we need to have compassion, but we also need to have awareness to not fall and succumb to those vibrations and to other people's mental illnesses. We have to be really mindful to not fall into that vibration while also having compassion that, oh my God, there are some things that, you know, we can't forcefully change about people because it's connected to a mental illness. We could want them to realize they're evil and that they should be better, they should choose better, they should be more kind. But sometimes because of people's mental illness, they're incapable of being more thoughtful and more kind. And it's a combination of things. It's a spiritual thing and it's a mental thing. It's an emotional thing. It's imbalances, okay? Throughout the whole energy system, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically. And that's what God put in my heart. And especially when I came across this video and this number 9, it numbers each behavior and it names it. And number 9 is the ritual ruler. So it's going to describe what this one is.
You know that person who has to check the lock a dozen times before they leave? Or maybe you've caught yourself arranging the items on your desk in a certain way.
So that's not the example that got me. It was
preferences, they break the rules, and your internal alarm system goes haywire. For the person doing them, these rituals feel absolutely necessary. They wash their hands every time they touch something. Not because they're actually dirty, but to wash away a bad thought. They're trapped in a loop, and the relief they get from the ritual is fleeting. This isn't a choice. It's the brain's alarm system misfiring, desperately trying to regain control in a world that suddenly feels terrifyingly unsafe. Number 8, the shadow chaser. Ever felt like someone's always out to get you?
I feel like most people in the world
plotting against you? You might see this as just being cautious or street smart, but this deep-seated, unfounded suspicion can be a sign of paranoid personality disorder. It's like having a personal bodyguard in your brain who sees every person as a threat and every kind gesture as a lie. This isn't just a healthy dose of skepticism. It's a crippling fear that makes it almost impossible to trust anyone. Your brain is convinced that people are out to harm you even when there's no evidence. This makes you hesitant to confide in others, worried they'll use your secrets against you. An innocent comment feels like a personal attack. And every time someone does something that you think is wrong, you hold a grudge because your brain tells you that you are right to be angry. It's a habit of a brain that is stuck in a state of hypervigilance, constantly scanning the world for threats that don't exist. This isn't a personality quirk. It's a mental health condition that turns the normal world into a battlefield, and it's a devastating way to live.
Oh my God. Most people have that. The shadow, I forgot what it's called, the shadow chaser or something like that. Okay, I'm not going to keep playing the video. If you want to go watch the video, it's on YouTube, Educated Curiosity YouTube channel. It's called Weird Behaviors That Are Actually Signs of Mental Illness. So that really got me because it really had me in a deep state of compassion of like, oh my God, even people who have like came after me and considered me an enemy when I never did anything to them. You know who you are, my stalkers. I can't even call them my stalkers, but harassers. Freaking criminal harassers, witch, warlock group of coven, whatever they want to call themselves, a dumb group of people who practice witchcraft, and they like had it out for me, and it dawned on me, like all of a sudden I had a feeling of compassion of like, oh my God, it was never me, it was because they have mental illness. And this is what had me thinking about things inside the world events. If more people had this stance of compassion, but also boundaries. Like, obviously, we're not going to let them, come and mess with our energy or our lives with their mental illness. You got to confront those kind of things in a compassionate way, and let, like, so that it can be stopped. It has to be confronted for sure, so it can be stopped, so it won't continue to harm the person themselves and anybody else. But most importantly, it is for the person to bring attention and awareness to the person themselves. Like, hey, I don't know if you knew this. If you did know that you have a mental illness and you're still doing this, well, you need to be confronted even more so that you can really see, like, this is wrong, and you can't keep doing that to yourself or to other people, because it's just not a good way to live. Like the video said, it's just not a way to live, bro. It's one life to live. You don't want to live in that state. And once you bring awareness to the state of whatever state of mental illness, because there's a lot of variations and there's a lot of versions of the mental illnesses, like, so when you bring awareness to the people, sometimes we ourselves are not aware fully that we're displaying those kind of behaviors, because our brain, like he was describing in the video, is just trying to keep itself safe, and it comes up with all of these things, to try to manage itself in a scary world. We live in a scary world, okay? Let's be honest, okay? I wish it was heaven on earth. We're here to create heaven on earth, but we don't always get to experience that, okay? It's more an internal thing, like, because not always, it's a safe place in the outside world. Like, of course, that's why we have to cultivate that within ourselves and amongst each other, so that we can experience more of that version of reality, that it is a safe world and it is heaven on earth. But the fact is, we are dealing with a lot of people in the world, or in the earthly plane, that is imbalanced, okay? And because it is not our fault, fully all of our faults, the gravity and the depth of these imbalances, it's to such an extent that's why I have such a depth of compassion. Because these imbalances have been caused throughout the generations from our ancestors, and so this isn't our DNA, it's in our freaking bloodline. And so we have to have compassion for ourselves and for each other, that we are facing mental imbalances, and we need to restore our mental health and our all of our layers, our whole energy system. But most importantly, right now, what God is putting in the forefront of my heart is the mental illness awareness. I feel like it's important to have a mental illness awareness day, or months throughout a day in every month. We need to do it that often these days with everything that's happening in the world. So many of us feel alone, in our heads, especially. Your whole life is in your head after all, right? So it's important to talk about this openly amongst our family and our friends, and videos, mental health awareness, and take the stigma off of the mental health awareness, because most people would never want to admit, like, they have some, out of the numbers that this video names, people that may have one or more mental illness. One or more person that has one or more mental illnesses. And none of us want to admit that we have mental illnesses. And when I say mental illness, it doesn't mean that you did anything wrong to make yourself sick. It's just the society that we were born into. It's the humanity that we were born into. It's the imbalances that we were born into that cause these coping mechanisms that we do, that our brain automatically does. Sometimes people don't even want to be certain ways. They don't know why they are. They just let themselves stay that way because they're like, oh, I've been this way. This is the way I've managed. This is how I'm going to stay. But when we bring awareness to these mental illnesses, and we call these mental illnesses out to ourselves, we take the stigma off of it, confront ourselves that, hey, I may have this imbalance that has happened over my lifespan. Not my fault that this imbalance happened. But when we see it for what it is, we can restore it. And then we don't live out in that vibration of the mental illness imbalance that we don't even want to be living out in. But we can only change it when we accept that may be, a reality that we're facing, that we didn't know how to describe it. We didn't know that there was a label to what we were experiencing. Like, for example, when I was younger, I used to have really bad anxiety, so freaking bad. I didn't even know how to talk. My brain would go blank because I was so nervous, full of anxiety. My heart would race so fast, and I would freaking go blank in my mind, and I would forget. I just wouldn't have the courage to speak up because I was having such bad anxiety attack. And I didn't even know that there was a term called anxiety. I didn't even know what I was experiencing because I'm such a super hyper empath, like, and especially in an auditorium or a room full of people, right? I'm picking up all these people's energies and picking up anxiety because I didn't know how to differentiate what was mine and what wasn't, because I was little with gifts, activated gifts that I was unaware of how to use, and so they worked against me basically through the anxiety. And so Point being is, I didn't know that that was a terminology. Had I known that that was a terminology and a thing, I could have restored that anxiety sooner in my lifetime, and I would have literally been able to be speaking up for myself way sooner in life if I had been able to restore that imbalance, because I had a terminology to it. I had a way to describe what or verbalize what I was feeling, but I didn't. So I just freaking, it always overtook me, and it sucks. So I live to help other people break through, have breakthroughs. I personally have many breakdowns to have breakthroughs, not in a toxic way, but for example, the anxiety, one day I just broke down and was so fed up with having anxiety attacks, and I'm like, I have to overcome this. What the heck is this? I don't even understand what's happening to me. Like, I knew what I was feeling, but then I came across the awareness, and when I shined the light of awareness on it, it revolutionized my inner world. It revolutionized my whole entire world. My whole life forever was changed, because I was like, oh, this is what and then I knew how to restore the imbalance. Now I literally never experienced anxiety, because I'm aware that that was never me, and I restored the imbalance. So when people restore the mental illness and realize, oh, their brain's way of coping with things is not them, and they can change the way that their brain is coping with things and restore their mental illness in that way with the light of awareness. And if you're willing to do the inner work, it works. I'm living proof of that. I do my inner work and it works. It helps me be a better person. It helps me manage to balance myself out anytime imbalances happen, because it happens to the best of us. Okay, it's inevitable in this life. So because it is inevitable, we have to really get better and at mastering restoring the imbalances sooner than later. And in order for us to restore those imbalances, we need to have the awareness, because awareness is everything. Awareness is key. Without, bringing awareness to what kind of mental illness is, like, for example, I'll show another one. This one's called the emotional void, number 6. This is a mental illness.
Ever known someone who seems completely immune to criticism or rejection? A boss gives them harsh feedback and they simply don't care. You might think they have a powerful self-esteem or an incredible sense of self-worth, but this emotional void has a name: alexithymia. It's when a person has a hard time identifying and describing their own emotions. They don't have a panic button because their emotional circuitry is so disconnected that they don't even register that an emotional response is needed. It's not just a lack of empathy, it's a lack of self-awareness. Someone with alexithymia might seem incredibly tough or independent. They don't worry about what others think because they don't have the emotional language to process it. They might even seem like a leader, but their inability to connect emotionally can destroy relationships and make them come across as cold or uncaring. They might avoid intimate conversations or new experiences because they don't understand the emotional stakes. The weirdest part is they don't realize anything is wrong. They think their emotional disconnect is normal, but their brain is simply unable to process the feedback and emotions that most people rely on to form relationships.
See, so when you listen to all these different kinds of mental illnesses that people have, and have that awareness of like, oh my God. So sometimes when people like, it's just really important for people to realize, oh my God, everything is not what it seems. Okay, if like what he just described, there's different things happening in people's brains, and it's causing them to behave a certain way, and they don't even realize that it's not normal, because that's what a mental illness is. And every single one of us has one or more. So this is not something to be ashamed of, or to shy away from, or feel a certain stigma about. This is what God put in my heart, to take the stigma off of these kind of things, because everyone on the face of the planet has one or more mental illness. And mental illness has a bad rep. It has a bad stigma to it, even the sound of it, because mental illness sounds like you're freaking flipping crazy, potentially. And you know what? If you have enough of these mental illnesses all together, it does cause people to go crazy. And especially because it has a bad stigma, then people don't confront it, and then the cycle continues. And so this is why I'm making this video. God put this in my heart to bring awareness to this, to bring the light of truth, the light of awareness, and the light of compassion. And so to yourself and to other people, and instead of judging, just give it to God. Only God can judge us. Have good judgment. Know what kind of people you do and don't want to be around, do and don't deserve to be around, don't and do deserve to be around you, those kind of things. Like, have good judgment, but don't judge. Don't waste your time judging other people's mental illness. Instead, just give it to God, because God, the laws of the universe will handle everyone in their own time, in their own spiritual reawakening, in their own human journeys. The universe and God will work with each and every one of us. So leave that up to the universe and God, source energy, to work with other people. Don't want, because like the video said, is sometimes people don't even realize that the way they're being is not normal. and sometimes you may not ever get through to those people that their behavior is not normal. That's why you just have to have good judgment and boundaries, while also staying in the light and love and the frequency of compassion, because you understand on a human level that people have mental illnesses that are not their fault, and a lot of people are not even aware that they have these mental illnesses and a combination of these mental illnesses, and then they perpetuate the cycle of causing the mental illnesses to get worse instead of bringing awareness to it and confronting themselves and changing it, because that is a reality that all of us can embody from day to day as much as possible, to confront ourselves and bring the light of awareness to ourselves and see what imbalances need to be restored, because every single one of us, of everyone on the earthly plane, has this in common. No matter what part of the spiritual reawakening that you're on, no matter what age you are in the human realm, no matter what, okay, every single one of us can be restoring some sort of imbalance, with this life that we're experiencing, the things that are unfolding in the world. No matter how good a person might seem like they have it, there's internal things that we don't see that are imbalanced, that need to be restored. Each and every one of us has this in common, right? So when we keep that in the forefront of our mind, we don't waste our time judging another person's struggles, mental struggles, emotional struggles, physical struggles, spiritual struggles. If you don't have a nice thought or a nice feeling about somebody, don't waste your time thinking or feeling that. Give it to God and focus on restoring your own imbalances. And this is how we can improve the world at large. Because, like, for real, if we all just do this for ourselves, restore our inner imbalances without wasting time judging other people's imbalances, and if we can help by bringing awareness, that's like everything for me. That's my way of helping. My way of helping is bring the light of awareness to people, so that with that light of awareness they can tap into their power and transform and become a greater version of ourselves. That's what it's all for, after all. And so that's what God put in my heart. This is straight to the point. I didn't mean for this video to end up this long, but like, that was really big. Like, I haven't made a video in a while because I just didn't feel called to, but God put like a huge microphone. There's been a lot of things happening, and there's so much I've been wanting to talk about, but God didn't call me on to talk about it. It was more about those revelations for me in my inner world. So that's another thing I want to remind all of you guys, all you cosmic souls out there, wherever you find yourself in the earthly plane, tap in and listen to God's guidance, God's consultation, God's love, God's protection. Tap into that now more than ever. We need more people opening their portal from the heavens above and tapping into God's source energy directly. Do not waste your time talking to deities or whatever man-made gods or whatever human things, imagination things. No, just plug in straight to the source, go straight to the source, go straight to the source every single time. You got a problem, don't go to a tarot reader, don't go to a psychic, don't go to people, okay? Go to God. Don't go to things in this earthly realm. Don't go to any sort of divination in this earthly realm. Always go straight to God. If you got a problem, go straight to God. God will help you if you are patient and you work with God's process, because God has been implanting all these revelations in me that I was not meant to share on video. Those were for me, for my personal evolution. And God wants to do that with you. There are certain things that you should be sharing for the masses to assist people in their personal journeys. And there are other things that are just meant solely for you. So pay attention, listen up, know the difference, what's for you and what's for the masses, okay? Because God wants to speak to you deep in your mind, body, and soul. But it's up to you to open up as a channel for God to work through, for God to speak to, and for God to do magnificent things and help your reawakening process, whatever part of the journey you find yourself in. Because throughout this reawakening journey that we're in, the imbalances of our brain, the whole point of this video is mental illness, but it's connected to the reawakening that we're experiencing. Like, the more we restore our energy body, it will help our mental illness. The more we restore our mental illnesses, confront ourselves, restore the safety in our mind, body, and soul, then in turn it will help our energy system as well. It's like goes both ways. The more we balance our energy system, day to day, as best as possible, to the best of our ability, because it's a different circumstance and life journey for everybody. But to the best of our ability, do that inner stuff, the energy work, and then the mental health stuff. Like, the better off we're going to be, all right? No matter what happens in the outside world, they want to shake us up, but we have a lot of awakened souls that are holding it down and holding the balance down for the other sleepers, the ones who are falling into the fear, and because they don't know any better, right? Because they're caught off guard, they're in a blind state. And then the people who are aware, that are on the dark side of the spiritual war are victimizing people that are blind. And so because those ones that are being victimized, the blind ones, their energy is chaotic, but the awakened ones, we are holding down the balance. We are maintaining the balance throughout the chaos that's unfolding during the rapture kind of times, you know? So it's a huge deal for me to emphasize this, is that your spiritual health is connected to your mental health. Your mental health is connected to your spiritual health. And so, yeah, I just had to finish off saying that. Now I can officially say goodbye. I'm so glad I got that last part out though, because that was the main thing to bring it full circle. So God bless you all. Remember to pray for your possessions, your goals, your pets, your friends, your family, humanity at large, and the earthly plane. As we know, we are living through revolutionary times. It's a beautiful time to be alive. Bring gratitude to the best occasion of life is being alive. The point of life is to experience this life, right? So tune into that. Tune into God's presence in your life. Tune into God's love in your life. And remember that you can transform anything from the inside out. We can improve our health, our mental health, our emotional health, our physical health, our spiritual health from one second to the next with intentionality from the inside out every single day of our lives. That's the power we have. So don't give your power away to life circumstances, to health circumstances, to financial circumstances, to whatever kind of circumstances in the physical realm. Don't give your power away to those circumstances, because you remember that the power is in you to transform anything and everything from the inside out. And when we do that for ourselves throughout this life journey, we can transform everything else on the outside of us. And the better we get at mastering this truth, this soul truth in us, that we have the power over any darkness in this realm, over any low vibrational circumstance in this realm, the better off we will be, because we will be victors. We will overcome anything and everything we need to overcome step by step, from the inside out, like I always say, and I will say to the end of time. And this is my last goodbye. I will talk to you in my next video.